was editing an article of Jimmy Bourbon over on Finn's News, and it was talking about Finn's got to be focused for this trap game. And in a way, I think maybe I fell into the trap in my evaluation. I really felt excellent about our opportunity to win this week. I still feel good. But as I dug into this Lions team and watched a bunch of tape and went over the studies and began to compare the analytics and the stats and the film and really consider a lot, I realized two things. One, this is going to be a great evaluation for many, many reasons for the Dolphins going to Detroit. Now, two, this is not going to be an easy game, most likely. I think it could be a blowout if certain things happen. But this is going to probably be a relatively high-scoring game that's going to demand the Dolphins' offense to come up big. And I don't think the passing game is going to be the key. I've been talking about this for a while now, how the run game plays a critical role. But when you go over the last couple of games that the Lions really struggled in, the run game was the catalyst for the blowout. Now, but I'll get into all that. I got a bunch of keys. I think they're pretty well thought out. This is going to be a big one, guys. It really is going to test certain areas of our team that has been shaky. And the good news is if we can get this win and we can win in these few critical areas, it's going to bode well going forward. But anyway, before I get into all that, I just want to give a shout out to you guys for stopping by. I appreciate everything. Like, subscribe, the comments, all the nine. It means the world to me because you could stop by anywhere and you're stopping by here. So I want to say thank you. Also want to give a shout out to Ace Per Head because without you guys and without them, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, I'm not going to go totally ballistic because I have 4 points, and really I could spend a show on each one of those points. I really had a good time studying for this game. Campbell is, he was our interim coach. I really liked him. I wanted him to be our head coach here. We went with Gase. He's doing a good job. The Detroit team is a tough physical team built on a run game, offensive line, and talent at the receivers. Defense is a product getting built there. The talent as far as a quarterback, that's getting there. They got some good running backs. But this is a team that's a little ways away, but they have played fiercely. Going over their schedule so far, they lost to the Eagles 35-38. Eagles are a good team. 7-0. And they played them tooth and nail. Commanders, I still get used to that name. Dumb name. 36-37, they won. Minnesota, who we just played, is a good comp. They lost 24-28. Seattle, they lost that one too, 45-48. Now, the Pats is, I think, where my memory was drawing this team from. The Pats and then the loss this week, which were bad losses. But when I went back and watched the games, the tail of the tape wasn't the same as the score might have made it appear. Now, they lost to the Pats 0-29 up in Foxborough. Then they lost to Dallas, I believe it's at home, 6-24. And I think that's where I was shaping this game is going to be an easy one. But when you really dial in to Dallas and the Pats, they ran at the right guard, Dallas that is, and right tackle, and were able to generate 91 yards. They had a very good day on the ground. And that, when you watch the game, it broke it open. After a fumble by Detroit, like on the 1 yard line, going in for a score, and then a interception, and then they start breaking it open with the run game. And that's what really ripped this game open and had Detroit losing, because it was really close. Detroit was on the way to win that one or make it close. And then with the Pats, between center and guard, they ran for 26 yards, 4.3. Guard and tackle, 5.3 and 32 yards. And then off tackle, 105 yards at 13.1 yards per carry. And that's and miscues as well. But that really was the deal breaker. And so this is going to go into my primary key for this week, and that's our run offense. We have generated yards on the edge, and you know what? Detroit is susceptible, one of the worst in the league. I'll get into that. So we need to run that football because their passing defense is semi-respectable. And we've seen lesser teams play us close because that run game just can't get off. We've got to get this run game off this week, or we never will. They are giving up 5.3 yards per carry, and like I said, one of the worst in the leagues. If we don't run the football now on the turf, then I don't know when we're ever going to really have a functional run game this season, and that doesn't bode well. But if we can get that run game going and victimize this Lions team, it will be a big sign pointing forward. Now, my second key is the run defense of the Fins. This Lions team is built on a lot of points. When they don't score points, it gets ugly. But they can score it through the passing game because they got a lot of receivers. But this offensive line is one of the best in the league. Sewell at left tackle is really doing amazing. And across the board, they got some really good run blockers. Pass blocking is a little bit, we'll get into that. But they're going to run the football. They got good running backs, a whole little group of them there. But that offensive line, their blocking is, 3.4 yards before contact, which is I think about a third. And they're paired. Jets are doing the same thing. So what we saw with the Jets versus us is going to be similar because the potential there of the offensive line is similar. But Brandon Jones' absence is a big key here. It's going to be felt, guys, and we're going to miss him. And it'll be interesting to see if we can come in and fill that hole somehow, because at 3.4 yards, that is going to get amplified unless somebody steps up for Brandon Jones. Then pass rush is my third key. Now, stopping that run will put the Lions in 3rd and long. Now, they've got good blocking tight ends. They've got good tackles that can block and run block. Quality. Inside, though, they're better run blockers by a strong degree than the pass blocking. And if we can stop that run and put them in 3rd and long and get that pass rush, Jalen Phillips, who I'm really starting to build up here, him coming inside, I don't know if he's going to get that same effect outside as he did against Pittsburgh, but maybe. We're going to see. I think he'll have definitely some. But inside, being able to victimize some of these interior linemen and getting that big hit to turn the football over or stop the pass, by putting the pressure on, that's going to be critical. We've got to limit this offense. We can't let them get going. They're at home. That noise is going to be huge. Detroit loves this team, even though they're losing. You can hear them. They're serious. They believe in the direction of this team, and they're going to play a factor with that volume. You can't let the crowd get behind Detroit Lions here. Now, my last key is going to be 3 players. It's going to be Phillips again for the pass rush, but because Detroit Lions like to run and they like to run outside, Phillips is going to have his best opportunity for evaluations in his ability to stop the tight ends from blocking him. Last week was a very good cue as far as his ability to handle them, but he didn't really get a lot of those looks. Detroit's got 2 good blocking tight ends, and this is going to be critical, along, obviously, with that pass rush. Now, on offense, Shell, a lot of fans are raving about Shell at tackle. And to some truth that he played left tackle and he got victimized in the Minnesota game. And then they moved him to right tackle, and he did a lot better. And I think there is a little bit of amplification on this based on the matchups that he had. He was not facing agile, fast edge rushers. They were big guys, and it kind of went into his wheelhouse, and he still had 2 pass pressures allowed. This week, he's going to see fast, agile edge defenders coming at him. And he is susceptible to the spin. He's susceptible to the speed to the outside. And Hutchinson, the rookie, this guy is starting to come on big time. And then there are other, and I can't remember his name is, but he's pretty good. He's pretty agile. He's about 260. So Shell is going to get targeted with speed, and it'll be very interesting to see if he can hold his ground. Jackson is not going to be back. So they've got a smaller, faster defense, which kind of matches up with our finesse, smaller offense. We have a clear edge. The turf is going to make Waddle and Hill they're going to be lightning quick on this field. But the pass rushers are going to be too. And my man Tehran is back, and he's staying back, and he's going to be back. That's going to be critical. So Shell and then Eichenberg, because they get a lot of their pressures from the linebackers and safeties. So they're going to do a little bit of movement and a little delayed blitz, bring guys up and drop them, and also bring guys up and blitz them. And Eichenberg suffers a lot when he opens up that inside between the center and guard, trying to help Tehran too much. And that direct pressure inside is going to come from the linebackers, and it's going to come from the safeties. And then also I expect to see Hutchinson on the edge against Shell, and I expect him to be pretty successful. And if not, that speaks volumes towards Shell and the direction of this team. So they've got weakish cornerbacks. Okudah was taken in the first round a couple years ago. Huge expectations. Suffered like ACL or Achilles injury. He's starting to play better, but there is not a lot of talent around him. They basically subsist on their pass defense by safeties at the top, providing coverage and limiting things. They're still giving up 7.3 yards per pass play, which is extremely high. I think it's like top 10, maybe 5. But they're still only about 16th, 17th in pass defense. So their weak run defense and manageable pass defense is what we're going to see with a semi-quick defense that can get after the quarterback through blitzes and the edge with Hutchinson. And this is why I think we've got to run the football. By running the football, it's going to limit some of the stuff they like to do to get after the quarterback. It's going to move the clock along, and it's going to open everything up because we're going to pass. We always get lots of passing yards. Waddle and Hill stack up loads of yards, but our points are low, and they're usually close. We've got to run this week to protect Tua and to draw them up and expose that weak cornerback group. Okay, so we've been running a lot of 12 personnel, and that really means we only have 2 wide receivers out there. Wilson and Sherfield, we need to see, and Gesicki, we need to see more of that 3 wide receiver look, but it's going to depend on our front being able to handle their blocks and not having to bring in 50 guys in their mother to help them block and only sending 1, 2, 3 guys out into passing routes. And that's a major problem for us. I've done a lot of studies on this, and I think it's pretty clear. But if we can do that, we'll victimize them and put tons of points on. But it's going to, like I said, generate through that run game. Now, like I said, their run defense, Okudah, Hutchinson, and Barnes, but he misses a lot of tackles. So they got one good guy on the edge who can kind of do both. The rest of the interior line is meh, and the linebackers are okay. Okudah is a guy that, we like to run to the edges, and he's going to be a little bit of a problem over there because we don't really have great blocking wide receivers. And Barnes is pretty good, and he's going to be at the edge, but he misses a lot of tackles. This is why that zone stretch coming back inside is going to be critical. And I love how we have Hunt and Shell. Both those guys are good run blockers. But again, problem's going to be, is Eichenberg going to hold his ground? Because if you stretch left and he gets driven back, it cuts the cutback off. And if you go to the right side and he gets beat where the defender shoots inside and he can't hold him off, again, it cuts the inside off a little bit farther down. But this inside cutback run is going to be critical. And breaking the outside is what the Pats did and Detroit did. We're going to have to get that off too. But I expect them, given how much we run, because the other two teams run inside far more than us. And that kind of stretches the defense out to protect the inside and then leaving the outside open. We're going to have run diversity as far as looks and where we attack. Ultimately, if we can do that, I expect Mostert, if he gets some space, is going to gash these guys. But I don't think it's going to happen early on. It's going to happen a little bit later. But we're going to have to get that inside run. Now, they have the 11th worst bad pass percentage. And I think a little bit of that comes from the pressure that comes onto them. They've got 21.1% pressure grade. Ours like 30-something. But that's a little misnomer because when Tua comes in, it drops. So their pass blocking is sort of like ours. But again, we didn't have Armstead for a couple of games, so I think ours is slightly better. But both these teams struggle in pass protection. Now, theirs is not terrible. It's 16th, so not terrible. And a lot of that's offset by their run game. So I think they're going to run the football a lot. And again, this goes back to why we have to stop that run of theirs. Now, they have lots of drops. We do too, but they had 10th at 15. They have 15 drops. Inconsistencies on defense. They have a bunch of missed tackles, not as much as ours. And they have drops pretty much close to what ours is. So this inconsistency, if they don't have lots of penalties. These two, the drops and missed tackles, will be key for us to blow it open. This has been a big part of their losses, so keep your eye on that as well. And that really, to me, is going to be the whole kit and caboodle. We need to run the football to keep things honest. They can get after the quarterback. And on this turf, get a little bit quicker. We don't need pressure on Tua. We don't need to get in third and longs. And we can't have this game a nail-biter with this volume that's probably coming. Because if you're playing the Dolphins, who are expected to be one of the best, and playing them close, and this team is going to try to win it for Campbell because, he's going to drum up some kind of grudge or something like that against the Finns. And you don't want a tight game late on this turf with that crowd noise. We have susceptibility to penalties ourselves, and we don't want that. Anyway, thanks for staying to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe. Big one, guys. Think we're going to take it, but anything can happen. Gary saying, catch you next time. Go Fins. Let's finally see a run game. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.